Outrage and disgust growing after the alleged brutal sexual assault of a woman on a commuter train just outside of Philly about a week ago. Police believe other commuters recorded the attack on their iPhones instead of calling 911 for help. The woman was said to be harassed and assaulted for more than 40 minutes. It traveled 27 train stops before a suspect was arrested. Molly Line in Boston has more on this story now. Molly.
Bill, police say that the rape happened on a SEPTA train just north of Philadelphia. Fellow passengers looking on during the course of this alleged sexual assault, failing to help her, some even potentially recording the assault on their cell phones. The alleged assailant is in custody. 35-year-old Fiston Noy has been arrested and faces multiple charges, including rape and sexual assault. Police say the attack happened last Wednesday night after he boarded the train in North Philadelphia, getting on at the same station as the victim. Noy allegedly harassed and grabbed the woman before raping her. The police chief described other riders holding up their cell phones pointed in the direction of the attack. Police did not arrive until a transit system employee called 911.
When the doors opened, an officer entered and saw what he believed was a criminal act occurring, ripped that man off of her, and pulled him out onto the platform.
And per exclusive reporting via the Tucker Carlson Tonight team, the suspect had a criminal record and had originally come to the U.S. on a student visa, which was terminated in 2015. In 2017, Noy pled guilty to a sexual abuse misdemeanor and was sentenced to 120 days in prison. He was never deported because the Board of Immigration Appeals determined his misdemeanor sex offense was not a serious crime. Noy is slated to return to court on October 25th. Bill,
Molly, stunning indeed. Molly Line, thanks. Dana.
Let's bring in Judge Janine Pirro, host of Justice with Judge Janine. I'm a little speechless on this one. It's so upsetting.
We should all be speechless about something like this. This speaks to the disintegration of a society. It is a culture that is non-feeling, dehumanizing victims when we literally are seeing them in front of us. And you know, for so many years, we always try to think we won't be a victim. It'll never happen to us. And that's one of the reasons that we don't put ourselves in place of a victim. But this was so horrific and so awful that people actually took to their cell phones. You know, the reality is that 27 stops, as Molly Line reported, people had a lot of time. He started groping her, harassing her, then ripped her clothes off, and then raped her in front of all these people. No one did a thing. And there's something called the bystander effect where there's a bunch of people together and no one does anything, so then no one else wants to do anything. But the bottom line is this. There is no Good Samaritan law in the United States. There is no law that requires anyone to do anything when it comes to helping someone out, unless, you know, it's a child abuse case or neglect case where there's mandatory reporting, unless you're a police officer or a physician who is charged with the responsibility of caring for a patient. The United States is unique in that regard. No requirement that anyone get involved. And I think the most outrageous part of this is a prior arrest for drugs, a prior conviction for drugs, conviction for sexual abuse, and a judge saying it's not a serious crime. Now, I suspect, and you know, if I were a gambling woman, I would say a misdemeanor first-time sexual abuse probably started as a felony. They gave him a deal, and he's still in the country, and he's here illegally. And no one's going to send him home.
This whole idea about 27 stops without somebody intervening. Here is the police chief who runs the transit agency.
I don't know what's running through the minds in folks' heads, but it concerns me enough to want to have a conversation with you folks, to get the message out that if people see behavior that is unusual, we want to know about it.
Of course.
Good for him.
But listen, that thing could have gone 52 stops and nobody would have intervened. It took 27 stops for a cop.
And it was an off-duty transit person.
It was an off-duty transit person who called. No one even bothered to call 911. How hard is it to call 911 on your phone? How hard is it to say, why don't you stop, leave her alone? She was resisting him. She was pushing him away. No one had any idea that they were together or anything absurd like that. This is about the degradation of victims and humanity in our society.
And what about the prosecutors who, in some of these cities, like in Philadelphia,
Yeah,
don't do
Larry
anything about
Krasner.
it.
They don't take the mantle of the victim, and that's the problem. When you have prosecutors who are more focused on the criminal than the victim, we have the total disintegration of society. This is horrific. This is awful. And this woman, what if he had taken out a knife? Would they still have continued to videotape this? It is a shame that these people are involved. And you know what? Right now, they're the people who should be ashamed.
Did you get that?